A group of Russians chartered Monster Project, the ex-Team Russia Volvo 70 from the 2008 Volvo Ocean Race. On the day before the start, Andy explained.
They're a group of adventurers who I think every year look for a different challenge, and they just decided that they wanted to do the Fastnet race. They were looking for the next thing, and this seemed to be it for them.
These guys, they did some sailing on smaller cruising boats and keel boats, but they always saw it on TV how it works on the Volvo 70, and that was an opportunity for them to compete in Fastnet race because it's the most extreme race in Europe.
Big challenge for me, and I really wanted to do that at least once in my life.
We came to Fastnet as one of the experience, one of the adventure of the team, but almost all of the members of the team involved in some part of sailing, yachting.
Monster Project headed off to Cowes for the start, along with Team SCA, one of the other two Volvo 70s, and Abu Dhabi.
Okay, so 2013 Fastnet, looking at, as ever, a complex race. It's never one that's easy. First of all, we're going to be on a beat out of Solent here, try and pick up this big tide, and then we're expecting the breeze to come further round from the southwest round to the northwest, in which case we can hopefully fetch all the way down. We're past the Portland there at about 19:30, and then we'll be able to fetch all the way down the English Channel, passing start point at midnight, and then hoping by Monday morning to be right down here off Wharf Rock. Now, of course, we've got the TSS to deal with down here. Once we're through there, we're bang onto a beat as the pressure gradient remains northwesterly, and we're onto the 160 miles across the Irish Sea, right up here towards the rock, and then it's a downhill run for another 160 miles all the way back to the Scilly Isles, back down here. We're expecting this bit to be very challenging as it goes light and basically go dead downwind, ziggy-zaggy, and finish in Plymouth on Wednesday at lunchtime.
We've decided to go for the J2. It's easier to attack with the sort of the ability we've got on board.
2 minutes. 3. Cash flow report should come up. How long we got? 1 minute. 1 minute.
Monster Project chose a port flyer for the start, but soon had an issue with the starboard tacker.
Basically, we're on a port starboard situation. They came up on us. We weren't going to make it. We weren't going to get in front of them on port, so we threw ourselves into a bit of a last-minute tack, which on this boat is never a great place to be. So therefore, we just done a 360 off the back of the line, got ourselves clear, shaking ourselves out a bit, and we're now heading off on port. And we'll see whether we can find a little gap up here and get back in the race.
The British and Russian team headed west down the Solent, tacking with the rest of the record 336 strong fleet. Monster Project passed Jolie Breeze, the winner of the inaugural Fastnet in 1925, and a modern Imoca 60, Artemis, which was to shadow her all the race.
First decision point, the big one, was whether to go into Anvil Point. We did, we ended up in there. We got some really good tide, but how long do you stay in there when actually the tide's starting to build further south, the breeze is starting to go further south, and as we can see on the AIS, a number of the larger boats are starting to go south. So the decision finally has been, now we're past Portland, we're going to sit on this tack, We're going to wait to see a bit of a head, the wind to come round and start to head us. But as soon as that happens, we're going to flick back and get onto the other tack.
A 4-hour on, 4-hour off watch system began that night.
We're coming to start. We're about 4 or 5 miles away, and we expected the wind to drop away, and it has. It's just sort of halved basically in speed. So we're a little under sail, so we're going for a 0 just to try and keep the hammer down as we come through here.
We definitely tell the difference now than when they came to us at the beginning of our training week 2 weeks ago. We can sort of ask something to be done and they can get on and do it. They're understanding the pedestals quite well, which is quite confusing to a lot of people, so that's quite good. Having Rodion on board really helps as well, because Rodion can translate where we need to, but also has great experience in sailing this boat.
Well, unusually, we have ended up south of the Scillies. A bit of a decision there. We basically got a lifting breeze as we came in, and whilst it's continued to lift us, there's no point tacking and fighting foul tide that's sweeping through the Scillies. We believe that from AIS and from the trackers that the other Volvo 70s are up to the north. They've both managed to get to the north of the Scillies, leaving us on our lonesome down here.
Once into the Irish Sea, a pod of dolphins joined the boat, attracted by the orange canting keel. Dolphins are normally a sign of good luck, which the boat needed at this point. "24 hours into the race, and Artemis is still at close quarters. The watch put in a reef to balance the sail plan to the wind strength.
We're continuing to head west, albeit there's been some quite big discussion as to whether that clearly is the right thing to do. We kind of feel we're putting in a big corner out to the west, and there's a sentiment on board that says we need to go north, and at some stage clearly we are going to need to go north. It's just a question of when.
And we just have a little bit tricky situation with the windshield, so and it looks like the decision was good, so probably we gain a little bit.
Well, it didn't go as planned because we went for a code 0 hoist on the starboard masthead, and it wouldn't go in its lock. So after a few attempts at getting it to lock, we had to drop it all again, change over to the port masthead, port tack line, and go again. That thankfully worked. So we're now under code 0 in about 6 knots of wind, and it's going well.
As the wind started to drop, Bellamente passed, heading back to the Scillies.
I think, you know, for a lot of guys yesterday, though it wasn't massively rough, it's just a whole day of bouncing up and down, you know, which is always difficult to get some sleep. Probably everyone's just feeling the effects of that, I would have thought.
This morning, the breeze has really closed down and gone virtually to nothing, which has made our last sort of 6 miles into the rock, by the time we avoided the TSS, really quite challenging.
Midday on Tuesday the 13th, and as you can see, we've just gone around the rock. I am a happy man.
It was one of my dreams in my life. I've seen this picture many times in the magazines, on TV, but now it's nice to be around here.
It's pretty exciting for me to go around the rock. like Fastnet's been a race which I've wanted to do for a while, so it's a big mark on the course, and being able to sail around is really great on this kind of boat.
115, so it's basically 65 degree.
Can you look at the chart? Can you look over there? Wait for a minute.
So 65 degree fairway.
Once round Pantaenius, the code 0 was set for the 160-mile southeasterly run home. Six and a half hours later, the wind went forward, so the number 1 Genoa replaced the code 0.
So our arrival towards the Scillies and the TSS was an interesting one. The breeze went further south than we expected, and that gave us a dilemma as to whether we go all the way around the outside and set the kite earlier, or whether we actually try and squeeze between the original plan of squeezing between the Scillies and the TSS. Fortunately, we got a lift just as we were arriving at that decision point. We got a bit of a lift, like a real 40-degree nice lift, and that made things pretty easy. So we hardened up round the TSS, took the inner route between the Bishop's Rock and the TSS, hardened up and had a nice little fetch through there. The breeze came up to about 18 knots, so we sent the boat down there at up to 15 knots, which was good to see, and moving away from Artemis, who was just behind us, which was good for morale.
It's been good fun. We've had up to about 20 knots of breeze, and the boat's been going reasonably well. I think we've put the A4 out, which is our heavyweight spinnaker, just in case we had to reach on it.
We're now pleasantly cruising along at sort of 17, 18 knots. Morale's high, 20 miles from the finish line.
Preparing to cross the finish line.
314 reciprocal, 134. Bang, now.
36, 45. There we go.
Well done, guys.
Accomplished. Very nice. We've done it. We're here.
It was a great experience, and it was really good to get it finished, even though it's pretty grim conditions at the moment, but it was great.
If you look from philosophy point, it's good result.
So we've beaten Leopard on corrected time, which is we're quite happy about. And yeah, we finished and arrived in wonderful sunny Plymouth.
It was nice in the end to make some gains into the other Volvo 70s. It was kind of enjoyable being in the rain for the last few hours once we started going fast.
Finish. Finish is finish, man. It's fine.
Monster Project was the only amateur Volvo 70 to compete in quite challenging conditions and achieved a very commendable 6th in class, plus everyone had great fun.